Hello and welcome to the Slyphor channel. We are here with an unexpected results with difference. Recommended in the comments. Due to the comments on my last unexpected results, I was recommended, or it could well be a couple back now. I'm pretty sure it's the last one though, because I've tried to order these roughly in the right order, even though I've recorded like 4 weeks or something. But yeah, I was recommended to basically record one of my BFC drafts and kind of talk through kind of picks that I've done and yeah, my reasons behind it. So sort of like my unexpected results where I pick a pack and talk through it, except explain why and do it for a whole draft instead. So this is it, and this is my little intro, and we'll now get into the draft. With this episode of Unexpected Results, there won't be a concept art thing at the end that I've been doing recently, but all the episodes after this I'll keep going with it and I'll keep doing it because I'm enjoying it and it's actually making concept work, which I like doing, and that I'm hoping to get a job in and all of this nonsense. So yeah, I'm going to keep going with that. I'm going to keep doing that idea. I need to actually get on top of it and actually do it all because I've recently started doing a D&D campaign and that's taken up a lot of my time, which is why all of these are kind of all over the place and I've probably missed weeks and I need to sort out Christmas and all sorts of nonsense. But yeah, so I hope you enjoy this little kind of talk through of me drafting and reasons I've picked things and stuff like that. And then I hope you enjoy this episode. Goodbye. Okay, we'll get straight into the first pack. It's an Obnixless Reignited on the front. Let's try and crack into the pack. This is for the Battle for Zendikar draft. I'm going to talk through all of my picks and we're going to have a look at see what's in this pack. So straight away, have a look at the rare. It's a foil, it's a synergy base, and it's actually really good. We have a quick flick through to see what will cycle, but the way that we did this draft was very weird, and so we ended up having 2 pods mashed into one for the first pack. So immediately the rare is a Prism Array, which you don't pick. You never first pick Prism Array, it's terrible, and it actually cycled. But luckily, I had a foil rare that was the Gomafada that you just saw, and it's really freaking good. So that basically solidified my place in at least white allies. So there's a white ally in the second pack, and I don't think there was anything there. Yeah, that's what I ended up going for. There was another foil, but Converge isn't that great. Instead, I went for the ally encampment because if I decide to go into 3 colour allies, which I don't think I did in the end, then it'd be really useful to kind of mana fix and that sort of thing. And also it fixes even if you go 2 colour allies, which in a draft you're probably going 2 colour at the least. It's very rare that you're going to get to go monocoloured. So we went straight into the third pack, have a look through for some allies. I don't think there was anything amazing in this pack. Like, there's a lot of Eldrazi stuff, but I'm trying to go allies. So at this point I'm already basically in allies because I have the encampment, so that fixes my base. I have a good solid ally creature in white. I think I end up picking one of the 8-drops. One of the big Eldrazi. I think it's the Eldrazi Destroyer that I go for. Just as a thing that if I need an extra card it can go in any deck. It's a big 8/9 trampler for 8, so it's a late game, just wrecks stuff. Yeah, so I ended up picking that. We looked through the next pack. One that immediately jumped out at me was the Shatterskull Recruit, the Menace 4/4 for 5, who is also an ally. He works really well, and I love Boros. So with this and the Gomafada and the encampment, I'm basically in Boros Allies already. Every card I've picked can go in my Boros Allies, so I just go straight into the next pack with this. There's an Ondu Rising in this pack, which I was really tempted with because it's really good, but I wanted the Felidar Sovereign, I think. Yeah, I ended up going for the Felidar Sovereign because it's in my colours, it's a big creature that's a good late game hitter. Okay, it's not an ally, it's lifelink, it's vigilant, and it's not win condition. So I don't think I actually pulled it in any of my games, but if I did, it would have been really good. But I ended up not pulling it, so we then went into the next pack, where there was a couple of allies, a couple of good other cards that I could have gone for, like the Valakut Predator, the Tajuru Stalwart that's in there, depending on if I wanted to go Naya or whatever. I ended up drafting into Naya allies, but then when it came to the game, I ended up having to go back into Boros allies because I had too many cards, because basically my entire draft pod was red, green, white allies, apart from like 2 cards, I think. So when you draft 45 cards in a 40 card deck that are all... Like, I could have made a 60 card deck in Naya allies easily. It wouldn't have been good, but I could have done it. I went for a Seek the Wilds in this because it's good. It's a good spell. You can just straight away go, I want this creature or this land from the top 4, so it helps you pull what you need for the time. But yeah, there's the Firemantle Mage, which I'm fairly certain I went with because, again, Boros Allies is what I ended up going with, and he's really good because he rallies for Menace and is a 3-drop. He ended up being the only 3-drop that I had, which meant that my curve kind of went inwards, weirdly, which I think affected me in the last game that I played, because I ended up winning my first 2 games, both 2-1, which was fairly reasonable. I ended up just allying out with a bunch of stuff, but yeah, in one of my games my curve kind of screwed me over a bit and I ended up getting a bit mana screwed. I think I ended up picking Lithomancer's Focus in this pack because having a white combat trick is always good, +2/+2 and prevent all damage. So it's good against Eldrazi because it prevents the damage from the colourless creatures, and it's a combat trick for the +2 for 1 white, which makes it really decent. Getting near to the end of this pack now, I ended up going for another Tajuru Stalwart, so another ally in green. If I did end up going 3 colour, the Tajuru Stalwart would have most likely been a 3/4 for 3, which is good. What did I pick from this pack? Yeah, I think... What did I go for? But that's the Prism Array cycling. Yeah, I ended up going for the Fortified Rampart, which is okay. It's a good early game blocker, but I could have also picked the other card that was in there. I can't remember what the other card was. I ended up taking a Molten Nursery in this one, because if I ended up going into... I had the red, if I ended up going into colourless at all, then it might be good, but I didn't end up running it at all. We're getting to the last few cards here, so a slight pause as the pack goes round. I've been cutting out all of the pauses. There I just went for the Seek the Wilds, because I'm not that keen on Rolling Thunder, though I probably in hindsight, the Rolling Thunder would have been amazing, because the one time that I lost, Rolling Thunder would have smashed it. And then I got past a Tajuru Raidmaster, which is possibly Beastmaster, sorry. And it's a fantastic ally in my colours because I was currently in Naya. So yeah, I was happy with that first pack because I got everything in the colours I needed. So we cracked into the second pack. We just had a quick flick through. There was an ally at the front, the Core Castigator. There's Ghostly Sentinel, which is fair enough. Tajuru Stalwart. Ondu Champion, which is really good. Sure Strike would have been decent. Catacomb Sifter is good. The retreats are good, but the rare was Azada. There was a foil Boiling Earth as well. But yeah, Zada is an ally. Taking a second rare on colour was really good. So I just went straight for Zada. I had another quick flick through the pack though, because just to make sure there wasn't anything amazing. But yeah, I got kind of caught between Ondu Champion or Zada. So I ended up going for the Zada. But what we did, sorry, just to keep you up to date with what was going on in the draft, after the first pack went round and we realised that we should have been in 2 pods, the organiser broke it, basically the draft in half, so that we did have 2 pods of 5, which meant you could rely slightly better on the rotates. So I was fairly certain the Ondu Champion would come back round. The Zada wouldn't at all, and it's a good ally, so I went for it. It won me a good few games. Here there was a couple of allies. A Ruin Processor, which is decent, but I wasn't in that kind of deck. And then a Conduit of Ruin, which would have been really good if I was in that kind of deck, which I wasn't. I could have fetched it for my one other Eldrazi, the Trampler. But instead I decided that allies was what I was doing, so allies was what I was going to stick with. And I went for the Ruthless Cohort, I believe, at the front of the pack. Yeah, went for the Ruthless Cohort because it's a 2-drop, it's a 2/2, it's an ally, and okay, it's forced to swing when you don't have another ally, but normally you don't care. In here there was quite a lot of good stuff. Like, the rare was still in there. There was an Ondu Champion, there was a Shatter Skull, Tajuru Beastmaster, there was some good Eldrazi in there, but not in my colours, so I went for the Ondu Champion. The Serpent Strike would have also been really good, the rare that was left in there. And the Shatter Skull would have been great, but I think I ended up picking up a few of those. In here there's Royal Spouts, which is decent, another Tajuru Beastmaster. There were a lot of Naya allies going around, which is kind of how I ended up picking up basically every card I needed. There I probably should have got the Valakut Invoker, because he would have been really useful. He would have filled up that curve blank that I had. If I picked up a couple of Valakuts instead of taking all of these Tajuru Beastmasters and Shattergang, Shatter Skull recruits, almost called them Shattergang Bros. Here, there weren't really any, there was a Ruthless Cohort, but other than that, not really any allies. So it was either that or another Lithomancer's Focus to trigger Zada. I'm fairly certain I picked the Lithomancer's Focus because of the Zada triggering ability. Basically what Zada does is, when you target it and only it with a instant or sorcery spell, it copies it onto every other creature. So it makes your combat tricks into full board slams. So here I went for a Sure Strike, or was looking at the Ondu Champion as well, for the ally triggers and the Trample Rally. But the Sure Strike on Zada was just ridiculous, and I was really hoping to get some of these plays out. And I was pleasantly surprised in the 3rd pack, so you can look forward to that. Here the Core Castigator was the only ally on colour, so I just picked it up. It's fairly decent, a 3/1 for 2 that can't be blocked by Scions, so if you come up against Eldrazi decks, he's not bad, he's pretty good. In this pack there was another Shatter Skull recruit, which was good. There was a Calestra Healer, which if I was in black I would have gone for. And then there was a Tajuru Beastmaster. I was kind of torn between the two, but I think I ended up going for the Giant. Yep. Because, yeah, he's really good. 4/4 for 5 with Menace, just solid creature. In this pack, the Valakut Invoker came back round, so this is where I should have just snapped it up instantly. But instead, I'm fairly certain I picked the Boiling Earth, which was a poor move. Like, it was not what I should have done. Okay, it's a Scouring Sands. Okay, you can awaken it. I never hit the mana to be able to awaken this, because I was playing Boros. I was meant to be killing people before this happened. And then when I was, like, I needed more 3-drops. When I show out my curve at the end, you can see my one lone 3-drop sitting there all on his own. And yeah, a Valakut Invoker or 2 would have entirely filled that gap. I got another Reckless cohort, which was decent, because small drop allies and bears is always good. And the pack's just getting near the end here, so it passes around a couple more times. But yeah, I definitely should have picked up more 3-drops when I was drafting. That was my biggest mistake. And if I picked up a couple of Valakut Invokers, I would have been great on the terms of the couple that I had. See, look at this. It gets to the last 4 of a pack. Everything is on colour for me. The foil is still there. The Ondu Champion that I thought would cycled twice. That's how easy it was. I was the only one in my pod to be playing this, Boros ally effect. So yeah, I was just picking up everything I needed, basically. The last pack came round. There was some okay stuff, nothing amazing. I think I ended up going for the Hexproof guy. Oh no, I went for the Broodhunter one. I didn't end up using it at all though, so it was kind of irrelevant. Yep, last few cards of pack 2. Another Tajuru Beastmaster came round, which I was entirely surprised about. I'm pretty sure I ended up getting 4 of these guys, which if I had gone green, would have been amazing. But again, I decided to go... Oh, so I did get a Valakut Invoker. I don't know why I didn't run him. I guess that was just a big mistake on my part. But yeah, so we crack into pack 3 and have a flick through. This is where you can see my surprise and attempt to change strategy but stick with what I've got at the same time, which kind of threw my deck in the air. I was still on colour, which was lucky, but what threw me off, as you'll see in a second, some good cards going past as well, was the other Zada right there, and the Cure Emblem, which was nice. So the Cure Emblem helped me because I just got a Cure Emblem, which was always good. But yeah, the second Zada made it that I wanted more combat tricks for my deck. So I was then a bit like, what do I take? I want the Lithomancer's Focus because it's a good combat trick, but if there's any allies, I want them. Inspired Charge doesn't trigger Zada, by the way, so that would have been pointless. But the Shatterskull Recruit came past, and I was like, I want the Shatterskull, I want the Echoum because it's a good landfall creature, but I kind of want the Lithomancer's Focus, and so I think ended up, taking the Lithomancer's Focus. So yeah, I was a bit like, do I want the Shatterskull? Do I want the Lithomancer's Focus? Which one did I end up taking? Was it the Shatterskull Recruit? So yeah, there was an opportunity that I could have switched my deck and moved into Zada allies by picking a Lithomancer's Focus. Annoyingly, I ended up only having 3 triggers for my 2 Zardas, which wasn't very good. In this next pack, there wasn't much. I think it ended up going for the... did I end up going for the... The Ondu was tempting, but I think I went for the Goblin Warpaint, because I was just like, yeah, if turn 2 I get a little guy, and then turn 3 I go Goblin Warpaint, and then just get a Reckless cohort on turn 2, turn 3 Goblin Warpaint, start swinging. You're getting 4 damage in a turn. You don't care if it has to attack every turn, because it's a 4/4 on turn 3. You're not really fast. And then turn 4 you can drop a Zada, turn 5 you can start tricking onto it and just killing people, which was pretty sure how I won my first game, because I just went turn 1 Little Goblin, turn 2 Cohort, turn 3 Goblin Warpaint on Cohort, turn 4 Zada, turn 5 Sure Strike, and that just kills someone. I may have used a Lithomancer's Focus as well on turn 4, turn 5 even, but yeah. There it is. The rare coming round like 3rd in the pack. The Emeria Shepherd that I really wanted because I collect angels, so I just snapped it up. I was tempted to run it, but I don't think it would have particularly worked. Like, the format that I was, or the Boros deck that I was trying to run, would have been too quick for it. And it was too quick. The one game I could have used it in was the one where I got mana flooded, but again, I got mana flooded. Having that in my deck wouldn't have changed the fact that I got mana flooded. And if I did have it in my deck instead of a land, I might not have got mana flooded, then I wouldn't have been able to play it anyway. So, swings and roundabouts, really. I'm fairly certain in this I went for turn against, because it's a decent combat trick. Annoyingly, it doesn't trigger Zada, so I can't remember if I ended up having it. But yeah, it's a good card. In here there was a couple of good defenders. There's the core, Lava Step Raider, so it's kind of which one drop do you want? And oh no, I went for a Swell of Growth. Me completely ignoring the green, because in the end I ended up cutting green from my deck and just running Boros. But yeah, at this point I was still like, I'm in Naya allies, I can totally just go for whatever. Like, I had 3 colours entirely open to me through the whole thing. There I probably should have gone for an Auron Reef Invoker, might have made me keep green a bit more, but then the Akum Stonewalker turned up, and so I snapped up that landfall and just straight took it, because I think in one of my games it just solidly smashed in. In the Boros deck that I was running, you'd want this. Okay, it's not an ally, but for 3 mana a turn, just getting an extra 3 damage in is really good. And late game, you just have 3 mana lying around. So you just go, okay, I can easily pay for this, it's fine. In this next look through, I think this was where I took the Goblin Warpaint, because there's not much else for me in this pack. Potentially the Unnatural Aggression, but it doesn't target one creature. So I was there like, does Unnatural Aggression work with Zada? The answer is no, it doesn't. Because Zada specifically states Unnatural Aggression the instant or sorcery has to target a creature, and that creature has to be Zada. So I was there looking at it and I was like, does this work? Does it not work? Because I target my one creature, but then I fight and have to target one of their creatures, which means it doesn't just target Zada. So I think I took it in the end, because I was a bit like, I don't know if it works or not, but afterwards found out it doesn't work like that, and that when you target Zada and another thing for it to fight, Zada just fights the thing. It's not like everything on your side fights this one creature, because that would be ridiculous, and it would end up killing half your creatures, which would be terrible. But yeah, I think I ended up grabbing, at this point I was just like, my curve is kind of high. I'll grab a little goblin, because it's a 1-drop, and it can get some damage in. And late game you can just spend 3 and make it get more damage in. So, it's decent. I had a quick flick through the rest of the pack, but the goblin is what I went for. And also goblins. Goblins are amazing. But yeah, a 1-drop 1/2 is decent. Being able to pump it for 3 is okay. Late game it means it's still decent, because it becomes a 3/2. And then there was another, but I went for the Expedition Envoy because it's a 1-drop 2/1 that's also an ally, so it triggers Rally, and you get all sorts of nonsense off it. This was why my curve kind of went heavy, then thin at the 3-drop rate, and then heavy again, because I ended up having 2 Lava Step Raiders, one of the Expedition Envoys, 3 Reckless Cohorts, and then a bunch of spells in the 1 and 2 slots. Then the little Menace Rally guy, the Fire Mantle Mage, and then everything above that was like Zardas and Heroes of Gomafada and Faladar Sovereign and Shatterskull recruits and all sorts of stuff, like Ondu Champions and things. So it kind of went, yeah, here's my curve. So land, decent. I ended up running a reasonable split between red and white, but more heavy to red because I had more red. So we ended up grabbing an Expedition Envoy, 2 Lava Step Runners, 2 Lithomancers, a Sure Strike, a Fortified Rampart. There's my kind of curve dip, is the Fire Mantle Mage. I should have put in the Invoker that I picked and probably taken out something like Goblin Warpaint. But yeah, I was fairly happy with my deck. I could have also taken out the Fortified Rampart for something, but there weren't particularly many options. The Courier Griffin was in there just to be a flyer. Then I had my Zardas, my Turn Against, 3 Shatterskull Recruits, and the Hero for those late game ally triggers. And yeah, that was my draft. So I hope you all enjoyed hearing me kind of talk through one of my drafts. I hope you all enjoyed watching this, having a look at how I draft. Sorry if the footage is slightly blurry because I'm recording sound after the fact, so I've just watched my footage and gone, it could be better quality. So if I end up doing this again in the future, I might try and make it better, but I would need extra equipment and all sorts of things, and not sure I can. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little draft look, little talk through a couple of packs, what my picks are and things like that, and yeah, you got to see me draft Battle for Zendikar. So I hope you all enjoyed, and goodbye.